Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, there is an irony of the last election. And the irony is that because so many Black Americans didn't want Donald Trump to be elected president, people erroneously thought that we were going to be most affected by it if he was elected. So they mistook our concern about the country for concern for our individual selves. So imagine their surprise when they realized that they are the ones that should have been concerned about Donald Trump being elected president of these great United States. And as quietly as it's kept, Black Americans are concerned about the direction of this country. We're not just here to make money and to get whatever we can get from the country. This is the country that was built on the blood, sweat, and tears of our foreparents. And so we are duty bound to care about the direction of this country, whether we can affect it or not. But let me get back to the topic at hand. The immigrants, in particular, who really thought that if they sided with Donald Trump, that somehow they were going to gain something from that we wouldn't gain. Well, this is what they've gained. Donald Trump is in the process of figuring out how he can end birthright citizenship. Okay? So that's what you got for voting for Donald Trump. Trump vows to end birthright citizenship and deport citizen children. And this comes from an Asian American news site, and it had a picture of this Chinese person on the cover. So, a quick review. Birthright citizenship came with the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment was passed to make citizens out of enslaved people who had been born in the United States and served as enslaved persons since 1619. So, to cover all of them in 1868, when the 14th Amendment was passed, they said if you were born here, then you are a citizen. That's how all these other people are riding in on something that was passed for our ancestors, even as they come over here talking shit to us. Okay? So the only time birthright citizenship has been challenged, well, let me back up. Birthright citizenship has never been challenged for Black American descendants of slavery. The only time it has been challenged was in 1878 when a Chinese person's parents came here illegally and had this Chinese child, and he applied for citizenship and they covered him under the 14th Amendment. That was one person who was able to be covered under the 14th Amendment because he was born here. Now, everybody else is just crowding in, taking advantage of that law. So now Donald Trump says it's time to end it. And a lot of Americans agree with that because people are abusing it and they're taking advantage of it, and then they're playing in our faces, in which there wouldn't even be a 14th Amendment for birthright citizenship if it had not been for us. So they granted him citizenship in 1878, but in 1882 they went right on back and passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which was to limit the number of Chinese that could come into this country, which tells you they didn't want the Chinese in the country. And while I'm at it, don't let anybody lie and tell you that the Chinese built the railroad. Black American enslaved people and free laborers built the railroads all the way to the out west, out there in California. I don't know when the Chinese took it up, but the Chinese were not building railroads in the South, in the Midwest, in the Northeast, and in the immediate West. So the tracks that you see on the map are the states that the Chinese built railroads: California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and Nebraska. Those are the Chinese railroads. So for the rest of the 48 contiguous United States, Black Americans built those railroads. Okay? So let's be clear. 5 states for the Chinese and 43 states for Black Americans. So for all of this hard work that these immigrants say they do, what have they got to show for it? If you were the ruling body of the United States and you had to make a choice about which group to keep, the group that was productive in 5 states or the group that was productive in 43 states, which one would you keep and which one would you send packing? You make the call. And at least I will say this for the Chinese. At least the Chinese built the railroads in 5 states. The rest of them are over here running their mouths and they don't have jack to show for it. And that is why many Black Americans who didn't even want Donald Trump to be president, but don't even care about him ending birthright citizenship, because you haven't done anything to build the country, to really contribute to the country, but you're running your mouth. But this is what the article says. President Trump Sunday said he would deny citizenship to those born in the United States to non-citizen parents, while also deporting children of undocumented immigrants, even if those children are citizens, reports the Wall Street Journal. The right to citizenship to all children born in the United States has been in place since 1898, when Wong Kim Ark won his case in the United States Supreme Court. Now, that was the Chinese. I said it was 1878, but it was 1898 when he went to court to win his citizenship. That's the only time it's been challenged. And for anybody concerned, our citizenship has never been questioned because the amendment was passed in the first place for us, for our ancestors. The right is known as birthright citizenship, which Trump says he will do away with through an executive order. Now, we know that an executive order is not binding legislation, but when he signs an executive order, it is good and it is law as long as he is president. Wall Street Journal reports that constitutional experts and civil rights groups say that right is embedded into the Constitution and can't be rescinded through a presidential order. They believe it would take a constitutional amendment, a lengthy process that hasn't been done since 1992. Don't think it would be that hard to get an amendment passed that says if you came to this country illegally and had a child, your child does not have a right to birthright citizenship because you broke the law. You didn't come here the right way. A lot of it is going to depend on what the American people say. And if the American people say they want birthright citizenship ended, it will end. Any law can be amended, repealed, or overturned. The Constitution of the United States is designed to be flexible for lawmakers to be able to change with the times. And this is one of those times when there needs to be some changes made, because America cannot sustain everybody coming here whenever they get ready, having all the children they want to have, and then American citizens are responsible for them. So it's time for a change. Trump is expecting a legal challenge and is preparing to fight it. Well, good for him. Trump has said previously, on day one of my new term in office, I will sign an executive order making clear to federal agencies that under the correct interpretation of the law, going forward, the future children of illegal immigrants will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. The president-elect also said he would deport citizens of undocumented parents. I don't want to be breaking up families, he said. So the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together and you have to send them all back. Well, he's going to get the ball rolling, but sometimes these things take time. But once the American people, enough people, decide that they want birthright citizenship ended, it will end. It might take 4 or 5 presidential cycles, but it will eventually end. And I think the American people are ready for that. Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about the video. Thank you for listening. Give me a thumbs up and have a good evening.